Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Harmony. I am a twin flame expert helping twin flames around the globe face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Welcome to my weekly glow show. Today's topic is twin flames, the return to innocence, and that is the return to oneness, restoring the wholeness within self so that we can connect to our higher self and our most authentic self and therefore align with source and connect to our connection of the alignment of what it is that we are connected to in our energetic space, and then becoming one with our beloved, becoming one with our purpose, our mission, and becoming one with all that is. And in order to do this becoming oneness, it's really about defragmenting the fragments of our soul that has been split up throughout our eternity, and we're purifying that past so that we can release all that no longer serves our higher self purpose, so that we can come together in a complete wholeness again. And even think about this, when we're born in what's called a fetal position. We go through the cycle of, coming a child into a teen, into an adult, and then we start going back through the process of becoming, elderly, and then, before we return into the light of where our origination was, we then go back into the fetal position. Now, this follows suit what I've been talking about, the reversed energies of going in one direction and then harmonically flipping into another direction. And if you did not watch my video last week on the energy reports of where we're at right now and staying in personal empowerment and how we're in the apex of the energy, and we're in this flip of everything coming at us from all directions because we're actually shifting into a new paradigm of implementing our new ways and our new templates, please sure to do that. I will link that to here as a suggested video at the end of this video so that you can get up to speed with that, because that is some powerful stuff as well. But I want to kind of, we're coming up here the closure of 2017, and we're ending a cycle of kind of like the phases of this ascension process, even energetically, and we're recreating the newness of the new templates. And 2018 is going to be what we're being shown as magical. I wanted to show you that kind of as we close out in this new year. It was coming through to share with you in more detail what all of that means on a scale of our individual self and how we can process through that as a greater understanding of how we fit into the big cosmic puzzle of what's happening energetically. So, as I mentioned, we're defragmenting our soul, and that is where we're restoring and returning to the innocence. And really what that ultimately means, we're returning back to the magic of life. And to do that process is becoming really childlike and going back into the innocence of children, including the innocence of pets. And because that is, they are so unconditional, and it's a beautiful experience to experience the magic through the eyes of a child, and to be, connected to source, because they have not been tainted as of that point, and being pulled out of alignment with their magic. And that's the best way to put it. So be sure to stay tuned, because I have and watch this all the way through, I have a very, very magical surprise for you that I'm so excited about, and I can't wait to share it, but I'll save it as my gift to you, paying forward for all I've learned in the last few years, as well as how that gift is being given to me and how I'm giving it back and surrendering. But when we let go and we don't necessarily pay attention to outcome, and we learn how to trust this process and go with the flow in an aspect of being open to everything but attached to nothing, it brings magic into our life. And that is childlike. That is dog-like, animal-like, you know? And so, I mean, even think about it. And this is how my beloved champ kind of fits into this, because he also taught me these principles that I'm going to share with you, 8 principles of the childlike innocence. He taught me these in a book that is almost finished called Life of a Champ. And I understand now why that book did not get finished, is because his story is not finished, but I've channeled in his mission and I'm helping present his mission to the world. And it has mirrored and pathwayed my own mission to a greater degree than I ever understood until I unfolded my entire mission of a twin flame, unconscious, unconditional love aspect. And then, you know, that also then mirroring back with the separation I've had with him, how the lessons he has taught me in an aspect of there is no separation, and that, you know, from an energetic standpoint, it's mimicking an entire twin flame journey for me to also teach you a lot of things that I'm learning through this process right now. And so in that, you know, I had made the comment in his book, it came through, you know, we become, well, first of all, I've been shown, we become the anatomy of God. We are the reflection of God, God, if you will, whatever God is to you, source, whatever that is. But we're the mere reflection, and that is the innocence, and, you know, how we are restoring that within ourselves. And as twin flames, we have to reach this phase of the return of innocence in order to get in this alignment of the magic, in order to basically be able to not only rebirth that I talk about in the ascension, 4 steps of ascension, but rebirthing and resurrecting and entering the rapture of the promised land of milk and honey to have all our rewards, and then reunite. And again, you'll find a lot more detail of that in that last video. But we're returning to this innocence, and the mirror image of God is dog, you know, that I was shown. And so I just find that to be like a beautiful representation of that mirror image, and that animals and children are godlike. They have playful communication. They are very heartfelt. And that's how we need to restore that magic within ourselves, because over time, you know, we start to, through experiences and life, and we create issues and things that come through that are circumstances that cause us to begin to mistrust ourselves, mistrust the process. And we then start to get doubts. We have doubts about this process. And then we, you know, it creates self-limitation and self-doubts. And in addition to that, that sets us up for our belief system, and sets us up that not only are these as our beliefs, but we're really taking on those belief systems of our parents and our generations. And us as twin flames have came here to break down those patriarchs in order to re-implement, reintroduce new ways of loving, new ways of living, and new ways of being. And so that's, you know, what we're ultimately here as a twin flame to do. And as we go through this process of this returning to innocence, we're really purifying and rectifying the past so that we can release that, not only for ourselves, but then also the collective, so that we can restore this innocence on a collective scale as well. And that in this restoring of this, what are we restoring technically of everything I said is the ancient wisdom of the soul, and being able to come into a place of self-acceptance, which creates self-love. And, you know, basically that is what I was saying is we are then becoming reborn again through this ascension process. And technically what that means is we're crucifying our old self so we can resurrect at our higher self, which is the rebirthing process. And so in that, then I want to talk just a minute about the childlike innocence and what does that really mean, and what are those principles, so you can understand the truest nature of this animal child innocence. And that is really technically boils down to what I was shown is I call them the B attitudes, BE attitudes, but they were actually passed down biblically through Jesus on the Mount, Sermon on the Mount, as far as the Beatitudes, BEA, instead of B, it's kind of the same, but it's a kind of, I think, a little bit more came through like some of the principles of the Catholic, but in all reality, this is how we should be in our attitude. And basically, what I've been shown over and over again, what I'm saying is returning to the magic and having our rewards is becoming blessed. And so blessed are those who follow the Beatitudes is kind of what I've been shown, and you get your rewards. And those Beatitudes are of 8 principles that I was shown through Champ, and Champ's Christ consciousness of the unconditional love aspect of the heart, which we're restoring that as twin flames, and that being able to be grateful, be comforting, be patient, be loving, be forgiving, and that's a big one for us as twin flames, is to be forgiving and to be a positive person, to be a peacemaker and create unity. And that's the foundation of Champ's mission, is creating unity amongst all breeds, because he is a bully breed and has been judged. His heritage and lineage has been judged based on being a bully breed, and based on the judgment of the breed and not the deed that they talk about. And that his mission is came here to help create peace and oneness and unity amongst all, which this happened before. The same thing with the twin flame aspect of mine. And so that's how his mission and my mission are so parallel. And it just blows me away when I think about that, because his even his logo came out as a pyramid with a global globe with the heart in it, with a paw print in the middle of the heart. Well, technically that's, everything in that is the alchemy of Saint Germain, the golden pyramid, the Christ consciousness of the globe, and coming through the paw print, but that representing the innocence of, the Christ consciousness, and, creating that unity amongst all breeds, humans, all breeds, all animals, humans alike, everyone as a unity within the world. And in that, number 8 then becomes be serving. And in order, stepping outside of your own circumstances, you will find your own purpose, basically. And so if you've been living in that state of hell, I've been telling you many times, step out of that circumstance in order to fill yourself up and create some joy and harmony within yourself. And that will help give you energy instead of rob you of energy. Now, how those Beatitudes have linked to what I was showing Champ, that also parallel everything with children, is that there were 8 tricks he taught me, and I didn't realize that until after the book was virtually completed, that those 8 tricks revolved around every chakra system of our lower self, and order to the 8th one being what it takes to transcend to our higher self and to become harmonic. And again, these principles just blow me away. So I want to share those principles, even though it's technically the Beatitudes. I want to share with you Champ's, because we're talking about returning the innocence here and becoming more animal and childlike in nature. I want to share with you Champ's version of those Beatitudes, and then, like I said, kind of piggyback those, how those represent the same for a child, just like they do, the animal. And the ultimate purpose of that is that through Champ's mission was that if we were all to live more like our pets and or our children here, we would all be happier people, and therefore being able to live our highest happy, live in peace, harmony, and joy, and find and restore the inner peace within ourselves. So Champ's 8 tricks. So trick number 1 is pooch time consciousness. And if you parallel that to a child, that is living in the present time consciousness. as to how we should do that as adults. So to return to innocence, we need to learn how to get in this living in the now principles. And trick number 2 is burying your bones by letting go. And in like the childlike aspect, that letting go really represents being forgiving and being open to not hanging on to anything and letting those things go so that they don't pile up and create the resentments that we feel. And trick number 3 is bark out loud. And that is learning how to express ourselves and our truth. And, from a child like innocence, same thing. Children tell us what they want. A baby will cry if they're hungry or if their diaper's wet or all these things. But we have learned through the process of like our circumstances and our experiences, we've learned to shut up and we've learned to keep our mouth quiet and we've learned to not speak our truth. And first of all, partly because we don't even know what that truth is. And so we need to clarify and identify that. But we need to also learn how to be able to express ourselves and start barking out loud like our dogs do, meowing if you've got a cat, and I guess chirping if you have a bird. The list could go on, but you get the understanding and the principle of that. So trick number 4 is love is a 4-letter word, and that really means that loving unconditionally. And children are the same way. Unconditional love is a universal spiritual gift. And for us to experience it, it starts with us becoming open with ourselves, creating the self-love that we need and deserve and acceptance of ourselves, and then being able to share that love harmonically and be able to give it and then also receive it from others. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about these children that have been coming through that I've shared with you with the rainbow children, the diamond light children, and indigos, and star seeds that keep entering my life as part of this process. And basically, I was shown through this process that my granddaughter, when I was doing a self-love group coaching class and developing that program, on my papers that was in that, she didn't even know that they were self-love programs. And out of nowhere, this is how these messengers work through these children, and these children are so gifted, and they have that sixth sense, and they're not blocked by their thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and it doesn't shut them down. They can express, and they can also tune into that guidance and that intuition within themselves. So she had drawn a heart, and it had this big zigzag jagged as if it was a broken heart. And, basically she showed it to me and said, Nana, do you know how to mend a broken heart? And I'm like, how? And so she took where the jagged was, and I've shared the story before, but she filled it in and colored in the entire heart where you can no longer see the jagged, and she filled it up. And so then she pointed it to me and she said, you fill it up. And I was like, oh my gosh, how beautiful is that? So we have to learn to come at a place that we accept ourselves and that we are willing to love ourselves for who we are, and listen to our inner child and listen to the innocence inside of us and heal those wounds of our past in order for us to accept that self and accept that side of us, and then to forgive that and forgive ourselves and learn how to let go of that by burying our bones so we can shift into a pooch time consciousness of living in the now. So this stuff all parallels and it all links together. Trick number 5 is sniff it out, learning to trust your instincts. And from a child, like I just mentioned, they have that intuition inside. We come in having intuition, and we can feel and we know. We have that sixth sense, and we can tap into the guidance and all of those things. And then trick number 6 is becoming your own best friend. Well, a dog is man's best friend. And they will be there for you thick and thin. No matter what you do, they're forgiving, and they will be there for you. And same with children. Children forgive really quickly. They move past things. They don't hang on to it. They become like their own best friend. Also, in an aspect, if they don't have a friend to play with, they create friends. If you ever watched a little girl play Barbies, I watched my granddaughter this weekend. I played some Barbies with her, but I just, watched her as she created the whole little setup of the house and, had all the Barbies and, creating all this. She's playing with herself in an aspect that if she didn't have somebody to play with, she didn't necessarily wait. She created a friend within herself to play with. And in addition to that, we talk about, some kids make up, the imaginary friends, or are they really imaginary? Or are they tuning into that guidance and are they channeling, that information in? Which I also had happen with one of my indigo children over the weekend that he actually is a nephew, and I thought he was more of an indigo, but he's connecting more to the diamond light now. And he's the one that had the most fear behind everything that I have been doing, and how I have a starseed nephew, his brother, and then an indigo niece, his sister, that they all have just been magnets to me and magnets to this energy, and they totally get it. But this one was afraid. The first time we were working through some of these things, he got very fearful and he was afraid to approach that fear, and it was like he ran from it. And this was probably a couple years ago at Christmas, and now he's coming back in as my niece and other starseed nephew are asking questions, and we're having conversation, and they understand and know very specifically certain aspects of this energy without being told or taught. They just know, they're programmed, they intuitively have this stuff. And then my nephew walks in and kind of picks up on what we're talking about and comes in and completes this energy circle of how we automatically, without conscious effort, nothing I even programmed or thought of, we put our hands like this, and basically I'm sorry, more like this, and it was like one up to receive, one which is your left side, opposite for you, which is your receiving side and your feminine side, the right palm down, which is giving, and your masculine side, and we came together in this harmonic loop of energy. We weren't even touching, and you could feel the energy coming in the left, going out the right. And my niece is like, oh my gosh, I feel it coming in my left, going out my right. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my middle nephew there, the middle child, the one that I said was the most fearful of this, he came in or came through, and he said, I am feeling the presence of goddess Iris. And he's like, started asking me questions about her. And I said, I don't know. I've never heard of goddess Iris, but we'll have to look her up. And he said that her message was self-acceptance, or acceptance and accepting self. And with some things that I've been going through, I mentioned last week's video, like all this started clicking in. And the next day, morning, I ended up Googling goddess Iris, and an entire symbol of the fleur-de-lis came up, which is a symbol of the Christ consciousness and the wholeness and completion of the lower self, and higher self, and the masculine and the feminine energies. And also, in addition to that, she's the rainbow goddess, which I've been talking about, this diamond light and this rainbow energy. So it was like his message from her was self-acceptance. And so I'm just sharing with you this innocence of children, and how, this child is 13 years old, just turned 13 years old. And he was able to tell this to me. And when we get too logical and we start thinking about things and we distrust, we can't bring that in. But I also want to tell you, what I really took away from that was he is like a divine masculine, and he had fear, and he was afraid of these energies and these entities, of something coming in as a negative aspect, which was also mirroring his being taught about some negative things of the past, and being able to let those things go from the parental patriarchs, in order the fear of negative entities and things like that, and basically being told I'm a witch and all kinds of other things. So he was fearful of some of that. But once in the last couple of years, he's been transmuting all of that, and it's like he's the return of the divine masculine coming in and had woke up. And I've been saying this stuff too. And not only did he wake up, he's now connecting to this guidance, and he's channeling in, and he understands pyramid energy. And he told me he gets an hour and a half online a day. And in that hour and a half, he downloads my videos into podcast, and he plays his games while he's got his ear his earmuff things on his earphones. That's what I was trying to say, but they're big. So he's got the earphones on, listening to my videos as he's playing his games. How beautiful is that for this child to seek that out? So I want to thank you. And I've thanked him, I can't tell you how many times, for helping me make that connection at the exact moment that I needed it. And it was almost like this energy cycle we were creating couldn't be complete until he appeared. And there were some other things with while I was going on my trip with my ankle having been sprained and needing some healing of that, because it was my left side and the feminine side and becoming the goddess and going forward, and those are all the representations. And so they started doing some energy work intuitively on my ankle, and I could feel every bit of it, and so could they, and it was just so beautiful. So I kind of got sidetracked there, but I was supposed to. But technically, that was trick number 6 from Champ of becoming your own best friend. And the point of what that meant was, based on what I just said, is self-acceptance and being able to, nurture your inner child and be open to receive that which is the magic. Okay. And trick number 7 is wagging your tail and having fun doing it. Well, from a childlike standpoint, that is being able to enjoy the magic. That is being able to show up in a place of love and excitement and acceptance, and being able to really connect to yourself in a way that you can just really enjoy the magic, as I mentioned. So trick number 8 is creating harmonic balance in this. And that is being willing to, no matter what your circumstances, to move below the chaos and the storm into the eye of the storm, and becoming and finding the still point inside, which is the 0 point field. And when I say be willing, that came through Champ, one of his fur friends. He has a lot of friends around the world, dog friends, connected with people friends, and a following, more than I have actually. And he has this following, and one of his fur friends, his name was Willing, and Willing was born, he's a pit bull, born with a lot of challenges, and nobody wanted him. And everybody, there was so many times it could have been euthanized or sent from this shelter to that shelter. And he was rescued by his mom, and they live up in the Northeast coast. And Willing had basically went to school every week and read stories and showed and taught children that no matter what your circumstances are, because he was born with multiple deformities, his back legs didn't even work. Nobody wanted him. And his mission was to come here and teach children to, no matter what their circumstances were, to step outside of their circumstances and know that they could be all that they could be, and that they could be willing to find that inner stillness so that they can become one and whole, and become acceptance with them of how they are, and that no matter how you are or what you came here or what you're going through, it's all perfect, and that you're willing to find the harmony in that, and that you're willing to take that forward. And that being even in a childlike aspect of this is for the connection of children and ourselves, is be willing to help, which is what I said, finding a purpose outside of yourself, and your purpose is going to find you. And that's coming through the life of a dog, that through the life of a children, they may not always want to clean up their room or certain aspects of that, but they're always willing to show up. They're always willing to participate. Talk about baking Christmas cookies. How many children, they want to participate. They want to get involved. They want to be part of something. They want to have a purpose. They want to act on that. And that is what we are to also do in this part of this return to oneness, so that we can let love live, and that we can experience within ourselves that inner peace and happiness, so that on the inside, so that on the outside it reflects the magic and joy that we get to become blessed and reap our rewards. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here about returning to innocence. And again, I can't wait to share with you my little surprise for you at the end of this video, But let's really quickly now, I want to sum that up and how that connects to like twin flames and where we are as the divine feminine, the divine masculine. So the divine feminine has been working on returning to and restoring to this innocence within ourselves. And it's helped us to create this inner balance in ourselves so that we can balance ourselves, balance our relationships, balance the planet. And the divine feminine has been really ultimately tested with the ultimate virtue of patience. And so we're being asked as the divine feminine here to, or your divine masculine, the divine feminine side, is to have more tolerance, to have trust, and to know that this is timing too. So the three principles of patience is tolerance, trust, and timing. And to be able to master that virtue so that no matter what inside of us, we can find the stillness within so we can create the magic around us. Okay. And then in the divine masculine, I've been also being shown that they're also returning and restoring their own innocence and returning to the innocence. And I was shown this back in, well, most of this year. It came in earlier in the year through my own experience of being like a very strong divine masculine will inside of my feminine self, and that I felt like this wild Mustang horse, and that in order to tame me, it was going to be a wild ride, and putting like a saddle on me to tame me, and that it was going to be wild. It was not going to be an easy process because I was very strong-willed, and I was very much, seated in my energy of being in like empower, not empowered. I-N power versus A-M empowered. And that's where we got to find that difference, what I talked about in the video last week. But that was shown that the divine masculine were becoming these horses because I already knew what that meant based on my own experience of what I'd went through and understanding it related to the divine masculine. Beginning of this year, I started being shown that we were having the return of the divine masculine and that they were coming in as these wild Mustangs, but that they had to become the unicorn in order to tame themselves and return to the innocence within themselves so that we could all reap these rewards of reunion. And I was shown, through a series of events that led up to a story that I want to now share with you. And also the beauty and the magic of how we surrender and we let go and we don't hang on to anything, but we're open to everything. But magic happens and we get that return coming to us, but it comes to us in a very blessed and beautiful way. And it comes to us multiplied, thousandfold. By giving up something, we're able to reap the reward back. And so with that being said, I want to share that story with you and share with you the surprise that I have mentioned for you. Okay, so just stay tuned. Hi, everyone. I told you I had a beautiful surprise for you. And I have Miss Mackenzie here with me. She's come to stay and share some beautiful time with her mom with me for the holiday. And so I wanted to share with you a story about this beautiful rainbow child that goes around leaving rainbows everywhere, don't you?
Yeah.
She's always making rainbows. Can you tell us about those rainbows and where they come from?
Well, they come from me and they're so beautiful and they have glitter on them.
They have glitter on them. Are you coloring them in glitter?
Yes.
Oh, wow. What inspires all those rainbows that you create? I know I call you my rainbow child all the time to my audience, and so they've heard about you before. By the way, Mackenzie turned 5 years old back in June, and at the time, she gave me a beautiful gift. And so today I'm going to be presenting Mackenzie with a gift back in return. I'm going to share with you the story of how and where this came from and how it came about. So I had been basically shown through guidance that, as I mentioned in the video I just did, how the return of the divine masculine was about returning to the innocence of restoring the spirit of a wild Mustang horse into a unicorn, into a beautiful unicorn. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
She loves unicorns too, which, by the way, I got house shoes for Christmas.
And unicorns.
And you got unicorn rainbow shoes too, didn't you? For Christmas, right?
Monster slippers, but they're rainbow.
But they're rainbow, okay.
Yeah.
That's why she knows her slippers, right? Her monster slippers, rainbow monster slippers, okay.
Yeah.
This little child, whenever I had this image, was having a birthday party around the same time. And I had been shown the change of the energy and the divine masculine going from that wild, intense, resistant energy into the beauty of the unicorn. And I had a vision. And I was awakened in the middle of the night, really close to around 4:44 a.m. and had a vision of the divine masculine going from this white Mustang horse into a unicorn. And the unicorn came up on its hind legs, and its horn lit up with the 5 higher chakras, and then all of a sudden there was like fireworks going off, and the fireworks going off created a big kind of poof, and it was like glitter just shot out everywhere, and I saw this image. So I immediately got up because it was so impactful. I started channeling like a message, and I knew what I was being shown. I needed to bring into form a unicorn or a horse, or like the shift of this energy to match not just the physical, like 5-dimensional image into a 3D reality.
That's really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I got up at 4:44 in the morning, and I was going to message my client that painted that picture up there that you saw, my swan up there with all the rainbow, and you saw it. You're like, oh, you love the swan and all the rainbow up there, don't you?
Yeah.
When I got up to message my client, and I started to tell her I needed her to paint me the Mustang God that I was being shown it was called, and that being a tamed unicorn. And before I could message her, she sent me a message and said, from Wales, and she said, what are you doing up at 4 o'clock in the morning? And I'm like, well, I just got up to message you telling you I needed you to bring into form this image for me. And then I saw this big old glitter poof come out and produce this unicorn, and I need it brought into physical form. Will you paint this for me? I said, no hurry, just whenever the timing works, whenever it's good for you, I'd like to do this. And this was back in June.
Oh.
So then I get a party invitation to this little girl's 5th birthday party, right?
Uh-huh.
And I show up, and she had on rainbow outfit, rainbow hairpiece. Everything was rainbow.
Yes.
And we got there, and she's like, come on, Aunt Teresa, I need to show you. She actually calls me Aunt Harmony now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, Aunt Harmony, you got to come see my room. You got to come see my room. And so I said, okay. But on the way there was all this stuff that was unfolding. That was like puzzles that were representing things and visions I saw, and all these messages that my angels were bringing me. And out of nowhere, she starts telling me about the True Colors song and singing it to me, and also telling me how the Troll movie about Poppy, and what's the one that has no color, what's his name? That he's not happy with himself, so he has no color? The one that's all like gray.
Gray and black?
Mm-hmm. He's not happy. Poppy's like boyfriend, so to speak, that has to she tells him it's like okay to be happy, and he ends up having color at the end, but before that he has no color. And then you start singing those See Your True Color song to me. Remember that?
Yeah, but I don't remember his name.
You don't remember his name. Okay. Well, out of that, one of the trolls' names is called Sky Diamond, and that meant something to me as well. And she started telling me I was a sky diamond. And then, so we end up heading into her bedroom. And on the way there, it was a whole party on the way there. There was like streamers and different like things hanging from the ceiling. And we go into the room. And I immediately see this.
Yep, I painted it for her.
You did, but she didn't know she was painting it for me, did you?
No.
So I saw this horse sitting on her jewelry box, having been a wild white Mustang that turned into colors and had been created like a rainbow that to me was like becoming a...
It was a unicorn, but the horn broke off.
So, okay. Wow. See, I didn't know that either. That's the first I've heard of this.
It was a horse, but the ear broke off. I mean.
Yeah. But it represented like the unicorn to me because it had its true colors showing through.
Uh-huh.
Like he became a happy horse instead of a sad horse because his true colors were shining.
Yep.
And I saw the horse because I had just saw the vision at the glitter poof a couple days before and called it that. And my mouth flew open and she looked at me, this little 5-year-old looked at my mouth open with speechless, and she says, "You can have him if you want him." And I literally dropped to my knees in tears because I knew what this meant to me and what this 5-year-old little rainbow child was giving me a message of, unconditional love, and also sending me signals and signs that were representing truth to my knowledge. When I asked her what his name was, she told me his name was Glitter Poof. She had no idea of the vision or the message I had done. And this is her first time to hear that story. I didn't even tell that story that day, other than the fact that I needed to create or bring into form. I did tell her that I was looking to bring into form a horse and that she had no idea what she had just gave me. So this child unconditionally saw my mouth, saw my face, saw my childlike innocence of this beautiful horse and what it represented, and she gave it away. She gave it away in an aspect that she didn't hang on to anything. She knew that, letting go of something, when I talk about letting go of things, staying open to everything, but attached to nothing. She wasn't she could have been really attached to this horse and said, "That's my horse. I'm going to keep that horse." But instead, she offered me the horse when she saw my face. And so today, I have something to present to this little girl. That's my gift back to her, and showing her what that when you don't hang on to things, that they come back to you in a bigger, better, brighter, more beautiful way. In a way that it is unconditional, and that when you let go, you do receive your truest, biggest, greatest rewards. So Mackenzie, I have a surprise for you, dear one.
Yay.
Are you excited? You like surprises, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sit right here. We're gonna sit up here. I'm gonna have you open it, and we want to make sure. I do want to make sure though that we're able to record like this. So what we will do is I'll let you open it, and I want to be able to see your face as you open it, and then we'll show the audience what it is, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, hold on. We want to see your face. Oh my gosh. This is the painting from the lady from Wales that painted it for me, that sent it, that came just before Christmas. and the return of the divine masculine, the harmonizing of the energy. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. But can you see the glitter, sweetie?
Yeah, there's so much glitter.
Do you love it?
I love it. I'll hang it up on my wall.
Okay, you want to show the audience what it looks like? What do you think, huh?
I love it.
Well, this is your reward for letting go of this horse that's painted in a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And it turning into a glitter poof and returning to you, right? So this horse just returned back to you in a bigger, beautiful, more brighter way, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that magic?
Yeah. I love the rainbow and the glitter. The unicorn. And that's a waterfall.
I know, it's a twin waterfall for purification of what it took to purify your soul to get to the beautiful white tamed unicorn horse, returning to the innocence of childhood, returning and restoring the concept and the idea that we can learn to be present and learn to create magic.
I love it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I won't even say Merry Christmas to you. I say Happy Holidays. This has nothing to do with Christmas. This has totally to do because you surrendered this horse and gave it to me. And now I'm giving you my unicorn back.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that magical? And now, oh my gosh, like you're speechless, aren't you? I love you.
I love you.
Do you want to get up on my lap now as we set the unicorn right here for a minute?
Yeah.
In this picture, you cannot see the glitter. It gives it no, there's just no,
Glitter.
way that being able to see this through the camera does this justice. It just doesn't. I was trying to get the light to shine on it, but it's very, very beautiful. So I want to thank my client Heather for sending this. There is the divine order in the receiving of our gifts and our rewards. This showed up about 6 months later, but the divine timing of it that it showed up was in a representation to confirming the timelines of the return of the divine masculine, harmonizing and creating oneness of self, and a lot of restorations of the twin flame unions right now. So I wanted to share this magic with you of this beautiful child and this beautiful love, and that believe in the innocence, return to the innocence, and find the inner magic within every situation so that you can bring that magic into reality and learn how to see the true colors in your other half as well. So do you have any final messages for my audience, Miss Mackenzie, before we close out the session here?
The picture is so beautiful and there's lots of glitter on it. The unicorn is so white and beautiful.
How would you tell my audience to find the magic in themselves and in their life? How did they find the rainbows? Find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
She actually, I have to tell you this, she creates rainbows all the time. She leaves them everywhere. And just before my 11/11,
I make hearts with rainbows. I make rainbows hearts, I mean.
Yeah, and where does the hearts come from? What does that mean to you?
That you're so special.
Oh, but you're so special too, sweetie. I love you. Thank you so much for being such a beautiful gift to me.
You're welcome.
And giving me all my divine messages. That I was saying, she sent 11 pictures, but her mom accidentally sent one twice, and I needed exactly 12 because we had somebody slip through on the 11/11 portal, and her rainbows became a message that matched everyone that was as part of that 1111 portal out of nowhere that this got sent to us. So as you can tell, these divine rainbow crystal starseed children have came here to make a huge statement. And so I hope you found some magic in this message, and sending you all kinds of love and light. And please be sure to like, comment, share the shine. And there's more ways that you can learn how to glow forward with me listed below. And if you have not got plugged into the complete your soul contract and free your soul, I'm going to put the link to that below as well. So please get plugged into that. In the meantime, I wish you a very happy new year coming up, and much love, many blessings. Namaste.
Namaste.